Opening of the judiciary, the composition of the bench, appointments and administration of the judiciary, and some of the issues raised at the justice sector reforms, which held in Abuja last week, which was an event that was co-organized by the Ministry of Justice and the Nigerian Bar Association, the NBA. In all of what is being proposed, the fact is, how do we move the judiciary forward? They've identified, even the members of the bench identified that there were problems. That's on one hand. On the other hand, the Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, had appeared before the Senate today defending the electricity tariff, the increase in what Nigerians will pay, and now a lot of complaints as to those who are paying are not even getting the benefit of what they pay for. Let's get some legal perspectives to some of these issues. I'm being joined by rights activist and senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Falana, who joins us live from Lagos. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Falana, for your time tonight. Let me begin with what perhaps...
Thank you very much, Sean.
Yes, sir. With what perhaps is paining a lot of Nigerians, some of those who perhaps are watching us with their petrol or diesel pumped into their generator, and those some of them who are perhaps only watching us on their mobile devices, who could not even afford to have electricity in their house. But the minister was at the Senate today defending the electricity tariff. I know you have made your position clear. But from what the minister has said today, what is your own assessment of the situation of things?
The Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, has failed to address the question of illegality of the tariff. Section 116 of the Electricity Act 2023 provides that before an increase can be approved and announced, there has to be a public hearing conducted based on the request of the discourse to have increase in electricity tariff. That was not done. So up to now, neither the minister nor the National Electricity Regulatory Commission has explained why the impunity that characterizes the increase can be allowed. And that is why I've already given, as requested by the law, I've already given a notice to the commission that because, these guys are running Nigeria on the basis of impunity, and we cannot continue like this. When a country claims to operate under the rule of law, all actions of the government, all actions of individuals must comply with the provisions of relevant laws. Secondly, the increase was anchored on the directive of the commission that customers in Band A will have uninterrupted electricity supply for at least 20 hours a day. That directive has been violated on a daily basis. So on what basis can you justify the increase in electricity tariff? But these guys, the Honorable Minister of Power is acting the script of the IMF and World Bank. Those two agencies insisted, and they continue to insist, that the government of Nigeria must remove all subsidies. Fuel subsidy, electricity subsidy, and what have you. All social services must be commercialized and priced beyond the reach of the majority of Nigerians. So this government, the government cannot afford to protect the interests of Nigerians while you are implementing the neoliberal policies of the Bretton Woods institution. And I have said publicly, neither the Minister of Power nor anybody in government has challenged this, that the Western countries, led by the United States of America, the bastion of capitalism, subsidize agriculture, subsidize energy, subsidize fuel, and they grant grants and loans to students, particularly the poor. So the same guys, I mean, just a couple of months ago, the IMF representative in the United Kingdom was challenging the British government for reducing the budget, of health and education. The IMF comes here to say the government has no business in funding education, in funding health, in funding other social services. In fact, there was a time in the 80s that the World Bank said there were too many educated people in Africa. Today, we have 20.2 million out of school children. This does not bother the World Bank. The World Bank is very happy that Nigeria is not prepared to fund even primary education. Right now, Shehu, the 36 state government and the Federal Capital Territory have refused to access 54.8 billion naira because they have failed to pay counterpart fund to access the matching grant. Yet, you hear of hundreds of billions of naira criminally diverted by a coterie of public officers.
Mr. Falana, if I may jump in quickly,
Yes.
There are critical questions, right, that the lawmakers asked today. And it has to do with also legal issues. They were asking the minister that the minister should tell the nation what law guaranteed the migration of Nigerians from one band to the other. They were also asking that the disparity and perhaps the discrimination in pricing from one region or the other, what informed it and what law captures it. But on those grounds, I'm very sure that a lot of Nigerians who are watching tonight will care less if they have 24-hour supply of electricity. They then battle in the second level of debating the price. But the supply is in the first layer of concern for them. Don't you think, Mr. Falana?
You see, Shehu, it will interest you to recall that in January 2022, the then Minister of Finance, Madam Zainab Ahmed, announced to the whole world that subsidy in the electricity sector had been quietly removed by the government. And last year, Mr. Delabu told the whole world that Nigeria was under pressure to increase electricity tariff, but that the situation in town, it could not be justified under the excruciating economic pains inflicted on Nigeria as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy and floating of the naira. Twin policies. These are twin policies of this regime. Therefore, the minister is not operating under the law. You know, under the Constitution, Section 42, discrimination is completely prohibited. So a government cannot ask Nigerians to pay different prices for the same product. And what are we paying for? We are paying for darkness as far as electricity is concerned. And that is why the Senate, with profound respect, it won't go beyond the public hearing. I think the members of the National Assembly want to give the impression that we share in your pains. I think that is what they are telling Nigerians. You know, and nothing will come out of the probe. And that is why this matter will have to go to court so that the minister and the Attorney General of the Federation will come to court to justify the electricity, the increase in electricity tariff. Because under the Constitution, under the electoral electricity, it is stated that increase will only be based on improved services. You cannot increase electricity tariff at a time that Nigerians, you know, are living in darkness.
Mr. Falana, let me take you to the issues relating to the judiciary. And the justice sector reforms also brought out some of the inherent challenges faced by the bench and how the dispensation of justice is very important. Not only being done, seen to be done, but being done as exactly as she should be. If the judiciary is the last bastion of hope, then we need to operate the judiciary as it should be. Give us an understanding, especially what came out of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, who is the chairman of the Nigerian judiciary. The realization coming from the CJN, how does that come to you, Mr. Falana?
Well, for the past 25 years, every Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice has convened a justice sector reform conference. At the end of the day, again, unfortunately, things remain the same or they are getting worse. The political will to change the situation is not there. The members of the ruling class in Nigeria are not prepared to operate under the rule of law. And that is why you have impunity in every sector. Yes, we had a similar conference, I think about 2013, 2014 or thereabout. The conference held at that period culminated in the enactment of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, which has been adopted by all the 36 states in Nigeria. But I can tell you, as of today, it is as if that law is not in place. In other words, the provisions of that law that are meant to fast-track criminal trials in Nigeria are observed in their breach by our courts and senior lawyers defending politically exposed persons and other VIPs in our society. In fact, we now have a dual criminal justice systems in the country, one for the poor and one for the rich. While we are eroding the poor to jailhouses for all manners of minor offenses, when it comes to the rich, there's almost a riot in the country. People are organizing demonstrations. Debates are going on that this guy who is alleged to have stolen 100 billion or more should have his fundamental rights respected. Right to what? The law is the Constitution provides. Section 35 provides that once there is reasonable suspicion that anybody has breached it, such a person will be arrested and taken to court. But when it comes to the you go and get either an interim order or a perpetual order of injunction that this big man who has lost his immunity cannot be arrested, investigated, or prosecuted. It's against the Constitution, it's against the decisions of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal. The point I'm making, therefore, yes, these summits are good, but beyond the summit, where do we go from here? Under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, a court shall not adjourn a criminal trial for more than 7 days. On rare occasion, 14 days. But what happens? I know of one case where the suspect, being a very big woman, was not arraigned for 2 years. I know cases that commenced in 2007, and they are still in the docket of our courts. So the point I'm making, therefore, is that these summits are good, but at the end of the day, the political will to change the system will be missing. It will not be there.
Let me quickly bring two issues that are very cogent that were brought out. One, funding and the independence of the judiciary. And I would like you to tell us how this could be done, perhaps if there are other climes who do it better in terms of how they fund their judiciary, which makes them more independent. The second one, which was also raised, is how judicial officers are being appointed. The manner of appointment was also raised. Funding and appointment. How can we do it better compared to other crimes?
Well, for the first time, the budget of the judiciary was increased this year, substantially at the federal level. What will therefore be required, which the National Assembly has not done, is to have a breakdown. What they call it envelope budgeting. It's against the provision of Section 81 of the Constitution. The detail shall be set out. The detail must be set out. So we want to know what goes to the Supreme Court, to the Court of Appeal, to the National Industrial Court, to the Federal High Court, and so on and so forth. And that must also happen at the level of the states. The situation in the states is very bad. It's very bad. At the federal level, because budgets are debated in the National Assembly, there is no state House of Assembly in Nigeria where the budget presented by a government is debated. So the judiciary is not given its place of pride in the states. And that goes for independence. The Constitution provides for financial autonomy for the judiciary. That has been recognized at the national level. But at the state level, maybe one or two states, others have simply continued to treat the judiciary as an extension of the executive. But for me, my colleagues have their jobs cut out for them. No judge is appointed in Nigeria without the input of the bar at the state level or federal level. The names of candidates are sent to the Nigerian Bar Association, the branches of the bar, for comments. But what happens? Wonderful reports are written. Beautiful reports are written. We have two members the Nigerian Bar Association, as 2 members in the Federal Judicial Service Commission. We have 5 members in the National Judicial Council. On what occasion in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years has any of the representatives of the bar kicked against appointment that we go out to condemn? So we must get the bar to wake up to its responsibility. And it's not just about appointment. See, I was talking of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, Section 34 of that law, and Section 70 of the Police Establishment Act provide that the chief magistrate in every magisterial district shall, at least once a month, visit all the police stations, release those who should not be there, order those who should be taken to court, or grant bail there. But what has happened? We have 128 branches of the NBA in Nigeria. It's the most territorially spread NGO. And I have pleaded with our colleagues, you have human rights committees, in all the branches. Can the members accompany chief magistrates to visit police stations and take out those who should not be there? If that provision, those provisions of the law, the 2 laws, have been implemented by today, there will be no illegal arrest and detention in Nigeria. Furthermore, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court is required by that law or by the provision of the law to designate judges to visit other detention facilities, EFCC detention facility, ICPC detention facility, SSS, armed forces, and the rest of them. Shame. I had to sue the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court since 2015. No High Court judge has been designated to visit any detention facility in Nigeria. So, but we lawyers complain, oh, people are being detained illegally, oh, Gestapo tactics and so on and so forth. But what have we doing? I went to court seeking to compel the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court to carry out his duty under the law. The man defending him is a very senior member of the bar, a leader of the NBA. And what is the defense? Mr. Falana, what is your local standard to insist that the chief judge should carry out his duty? So that's why I'm not really impressed, when you talk of all these summits.
Yeah.
Workshop, we engage in talk shops, but at the end of the day, we don't follow up.
Yeah. Thank you so much indeed. Always a pleasure having you on the program, Mr. Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and rights activist. Thank you so much indeed for your thoughts there.